Did you know you can get a brand new home in Rockland, California in Whitney Ranch for under $500,000? Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about this on the show tonight. And we're going to talk about the Sacramento real estate market in general. So if you're thinking about moving to Sacramento, this is the show you should be watching. We're also going to dive into probate listings, and we're going to also talk about the different types of buyers we're seeing in this current real estate market in Sacramento. Who has the advantage? Who doesn't? Should you be waiting till the end of this year? Interest rates are so high, inventory is stacking up. Where does that actually put you if you're thinking about buying in the Sacramento market? Let's get into the show right now. Let's go. All right. Hopefully you guys are having a good day. Let's get into it. We were going to talk about probate, and Brendan was going to come on. He's an expert in probate listings. We were having technical difficulties, but we're going to go on with the show. We're going to talk a little bit about the market right now. Also what we're seeing right now. This is an interesting time of the market because this is the time for the most part that everyone's doing their last vacations. Everyone's prepping for school. And a lot of people who've been thinking about maybe coming out here to Sacramento have decided that just maybe they're going to hold off. Now, as we all know, the California housing market, I've been seeing it left and right on everywhere. It's not doing as great as it should be. It's just really not great. Now, Sacramento and comparatively towards that isn't doing that bad, but we're still very, very slow. Now, there are some markets affected by it more than not. One of the markets that's not really affected by it is our luxury price point. We're seeing the luxury market for the most part not really be that affected by interest rates or anything too. It looks like people are still kind of jumping into the luxury kind of market of the Sacramento area. Grant Bay, El Dorado Hills, Loomis, and everything too. So we're seeing that still be something people are very interested in. We're personally working with at least 5 cash buyers that are looking to jump into like $1 million, $2 million homes. And that doesn't mean they just want to buy just anything. Everyone is very, 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 very particular about what they're looking to buy, no matter if it's luxury, first-time home buyers, or whatnot. Now, another thing that we're watching as well too is the fact that new homes are somewhat on the ropes at this point. And it's not like they're too bad on the ropes. I mean, I want to show you guys something here real quick that I was watching, and this kind of blew me away. Here we go. All right. So we got D.R. Horton and we got Pulte, both, new home, big builders here in the new home space in the Sacramento area. And both of them basically reported good earnings. I mean, they basically did really, really good. And it looks like they're kind of doing well, I mean, and we're talking like, as of right now. And one of the things that I've been noticing more than not with some of these builders is the fact that the incentives are really pulling them through. I personally don't know how long these incentives can go before the new homes are just, out of luck. Because I think right now what you're noticing is that they're doing incentives, but they're cutting a lot of their margins. I'm not saying new homes don't have great margins. They do. But at the same time, I do think that this was one of those crutches to get them through a market that had higher interest rates. And when you saw lower interest rates happen, the incentives would go bye-bye. And so you're still seeing some great incentives out there. I mean, we're putting people in the contract kind of a lot right now in the new homes because the incentives are there. Now, what I have noticed though straight up is that I'm seeing them build a little less, right? Normally at this point in time, like last year, like we saw a lot more inventory with the communities, but now communities are kind of being very much like, you know what, we need to sell our 2-story homes before we release our our single story homes and everything too. So they're being very much like, they're not overbuilding at this point. They're not throwing so much stuff out there that there's so much that they're going to be hurting towards the end of this year. So they're very, very smart at this point, or at least some of the builders like Lennar, of course, they do what they do. They overbuild like crazy and then they cut prices. But for the most part, you have builders like D.R. Horton, like Taylor Morrison and whatnot. And they're being very, very, very selective on their releases. If you guys have noticed, if you've gone to the new homes right now, you've noticed for the most part that, it's just, there isn't an abundance of homes you can jump into. There are some quick move-ins, but it's not like every single floor plan. They're being very selective. They know which ones are their popular ones, and they're being very more strategic than I've seen them be. Now, towards the end of this year, I'm kind of curious if they're going to ramp up their building or if they're going to kind of slow it down a little bit. Because for myself, if I was in the new home space right now, and the summer was slow, spring was slow, incentives are the only thing really holding us out. And we all kind of know in the Sacramento area, once interest rate drop, we're going to see probably prices increase. I think I would probably be holding off a little bit on the building. I think I would kind of relax a little bit. I would still kind of work with these incentives, understand that you're going to have lower margins, probably Q3, Q4, even Q1 of next year. And then for the most part, once interest rates maybe tend to drop, then maybe pull the incentives. So I don't know. It's going to be very, very interesting. What do you guys think? Do you think we're going to continue seeing the incentives? Do you think new home builders are going to get greedy, Q4 and just throw tons of stuff on the market? I'm kind of curious what you guys think. Hello, happy to see you too. And don't worry, we'll be promoting Roseville. I've been out in Roseville more than anything else, and I'm loving Roseville. In fact, I've been seeing some great single-story floor plans. I've been seeing some great communities out there too. JMC's got, I think, like 3 more communities coming up as well too. So Roseville's hot, Also, one of the things about Roseville in general, you got West Roseville, and then you got like Placer Vineyards and Placer One. So once that trifecta happens, you're going to just see a lot of commercial. You're going to see a lot of building, the Costco's coming in, schools are coming in. West Roseville is just like, even though it's a little slower market, it's still, projects are happening and things are kind of building in the West Roseville area. Now, I don't think it's that spot where you're going to find anything for the most part under $500,000. And I want to do a video in the future of what you can find still for under $500,000 in the new home space. We have right now one house and one builder in Rockland that's doing it. And I have a video of that for you guys a little bit later in the program. And it'll show you that there are some new home options that are still available. I mean, they're not like, 40-foot backyards or whatnot, but they're still available. Schools are really nice and everything too. So we'll talk a little bit about that in a little bit later in the show. All right. 6% interest rate, good for newly constructed home. 6 is okay. I think right now what I'm seeing, like in Rancho, you can probably get yourself a low 5s, or like, and in Vineyard, Taylor Morrison's offering a 4.99. I think in the Rancho area, Vineyard, you're probably gonna get the best discounts right now. Taylor's doing some crazy stuff. I would say 6 is okay, but I think right now, if you're in a space for building and new homes, I think we're getting our clients like probably in the 5s right now. We're getting some buy downs too, but take that with a grain of salt, because here's the thing. Like, for example, like TriPoint, for example, right? Some of their quick move-ins are offering you $40,000. They're going, you can use a 40 towards a buy down. You can use a 40 towards like closing costs, whatever pretty much you want to use it for. So you might hover around the 6% and then use a majority of the money for your closing costs. Now, here's where it gets kind of interesting, right? Buy downs, everybody loves them. Interest rates are a little higher than they should be. But remember, it's also a little bit about like, there's a lot of options you can do. You can do the 3-2-1 buy down, 2-1 buy down. You can just do a permanent buy down as well too, where you bring your rate down. KB and Elk Grove is offering that insane 1.99 for the first year, then 2.99, which is interesting, which is really, really interesting. The only problem with those type of buy downs is the fact that you really got to focus in on the fact that if interest rates don't go down in the next few years, can you afford that interest rate? Or are you kind of just banking on that refi? That's where it gets a little different. I don't know for myself. If I was in that situation, I think I would probably be leaning more towards like a permanent buy down, but that's just me. Like I said, you have to structure it the way you feel comfortable. And there's a lot of people that are thinking to themselves, you know what, I think in 2 years, by the time 2 years happens, we'll be in a situation where rates will be a little bit lower and I'll be good to go. So you're seeing a lot of like incentives are based around 2-1 buy downs, 3-2-1 buy downs. FHAs are getting the best rates right now too. KHOV still, I think KHOV can get you somewhere in the low 4s. So you're seeing really kind of crazy stuff happen right now. KB is changing their structure. What I heard is that they're going to lower the prices on the homes instead of actually have like incentives and everything too. So they might be bringing down the price point. So it's going to be an interesting time, especially if you're thinking about buying a new home in the Sacramento area. Like I said, a lot of the builders that I'm seeing aren't overbuilding. And, it's weird because, builders in general just are bottom line Q4, let's make some money, but they're smarter right now than the average bear, and they're pacing themselves. So I think what you could see is maybe not crazy incentives towards the end of the year if they don't overbuild, but you could maybe see the same incentives you're seeing now towards the end of the year. So it's going to be an interesting thing how everything rolls out. Like I said, if you are someone who's looking for a new home, I would say one of the things that you have to just be cognizant of is if you're someone who's looking to move into December, right? And you go out right now to the new homes, you're going to notice that they're going to try to pivot you into one of these quick move-ins homes that are even giving you the best incentives. Quick move-in homes are going to be the ones that you get the best deals on. So there's a lot of people, you know, that we're working with are like, well, should we come back in December and jump on a house? You know, the catch 22 on that is like, you come back in December, you want a quick move-in home, and the floor plan you like and the lot you like might not be available, and you just got to go with what's out there. So it depends on what kind of buyer you are, if you're very picky or if you're someone who really, really wants to get a deal. And there's some communities in Rancho that are sprouting around too, you know, smaller floor plans. Elliott is catering right now to more like the smaller kind of like, you know, in the 400s and everything too. Build quality, not really 100% on that, even though I really like Elliott. I think their communities that they're releasing, what I've seen, tend to be 2 stories and very, very, very dense. I mean, you guys think the dense new homes are dense right now. Those ones just look way too dense. All right. How you doing, Microbar? All right. Any builders besides Pulte and Toll and high vaulted ceilings in the common area, living room floors with 2 stories? Richmond's got a couple floor plans that do that. Okay, so let me think. Pulte, Toll. Pulte really does have those really crazy big ceilings. Pulte, Toll, Tim Lewis. What do we got? Beazer doesn't. JMC, they don't really do that unless you play over $1 million. I would say, who else would I be thinking on that? I'd say probably that's about it. You know, I'd say single stories. What I've been seeing is if you're looking for a single story. Oh, Cressley Homes also. Cressley Homes has, I think, 1 or 2 floor plans that has that as well too. For me also, I'm liking some of these single story floor plans. Like I always mentioned to you guys, I think the single stories are really, really in demand in the Sacramento area, especially the ones that aren't in the active communities. I think those are still pretty in demand, especially good ones, right? Not the usual, like, you know, 3 and 2s, kind of tight ones, but I mean, the ones that when you walk in have the high ceilings, good space. And I've seen a few floor plans that I really am like looking at going like, look, talking to my clients straight up, and you guys are the clients, you guys know who I'm talking about, the one in Rancho and the one in West Roseville, the one that I like. Those I look at from eyes of a realtor, right? I think to myself, 5-6 years, you get that home, nicely landscaped backyard. These homes are the ones people are going to love. I love a good single story home, high ceilings, good flow. I think that they're always going to be in demand. Single stories are just always going to be very, very in demand, because here's the thing. A lot of times we work with people and they're very much adamant. They're like, I want a single story home. They won't even consider 2-story homes. But the people who like 2-story homes, they say, well, you know what? If you find me a good single story floor plan, you know, that might work for me as well too. So single stories for me, if you can get a good single story, high ceilings, it really, you know, you walk in, you get the wide kind of like entranceway, and you get a nice size backyard too, because that's key. Because if you're getting a single story home, one of the things that I've realized more than not is because the imprint is a lot bigger, you get less land. But some of these single stories now, these builders are giving them at least like 35, 40 foot backyards, which I think are clutch. Because for me, it's like, I like a single story home, but I don't want to feel like I got a single story home and then I got like a 10-foot backyard. That just, for me, feels, but I've seen some good single story floor plans that I like. All right. Boom. The best thing about Roseville is that I see myself growing old and will retire here. You know, here's the crazy part. Roseville, by the time you retire there, and I don't know your age or whatnot, but I'm going to tell you something. By the time you retire in Roseville, you'll be one of those people that are going to tell other people, man, I remember when this area was just like, there's just dirt and there's building. There was like nothing really, you know, like there wasn't too much out here. West Roseville, and like a lot of people, you know, we show houses to in like, you know, like West Roseville, like the Elk Grove area and everything too. You know, the vision, it's kind of hard. They come in and it's just like, it's desert. It almost just feels like it's barren. There's nothing there and everything too. And I tell people all the time, I mean, that was Folsom back in the day. That was Roseville, not West Roseville back in the day too. I mean, I remember a friend of mine bought a house in Roseville and I went out there and it was like dirt. There was just nothing there. Now you got like Galleria, you got the fountains, you got Nordstrom's, you got stores, you got like things to do. So one of the things that you guys have got to remember is that, you know, with all this stuff too, with all the SECA reform and everything too, we're going to have a lot of projects coming in to the Sacramento area. You got the Placer Parkway as well too. You have all that stuff happening in West Roseville. And then you got like on the other side in Rancho, you got like with the Braden project, You have Taylor Morrison's gonna be building at Rancho as well too. You got all these builders, all this stuff, and you got all the Melloreos that I know no one is a big fan of, but all those Melloreos is the money that's going to develop out with new parks, new schools, new police departments, fire departments, all that kind of fun stuff. So it's kind of like you're putting your Mellore's money in a pot, you're stirring it around, you're having these amazing master planned areas. Now, like I said, you'll look at Elk Grove, you'll look at West Roseville, the foliage just is, little baby trees and they're growing. But eventually those spots are going to be those spots where you guys are going to be like 5 or 10 years down the road. You're going to have your kids, your family, and you're going to say, man, I remember when there was like nothing here. And you're going to be like, now there's like a mall over there. There's like a sports center over there. There's this. Sacramento and Folsom and Elk Grove and Roseville and Rockland. I mean, we're all in a growth spurt. And honestly, like I even look at areas like Rockland. I mean, I was up in Whitney Ranch and I was showcasing Whitney Ranch to a bunch of people. And I'm like, here's the thing for me. I'm like, like you got the Whitney Ranch Retail Center that's being built right now. Nugget is pretty much already there. And you just have all the shopping that's coming into Whitney Ranch, and that's going to service both Lincoln and Rockland. And that's just going to expand a little bit of the Sacramento metro to an area where like Rockland doesn't really need as much to go to Roseville. Lincoln can shoot over to Rockland, but they've already have their stuff as well too. And a lot of people don't realize this too, is when I get a lot of calls, people are like, hey, Rockland is far away from downtown. Honestly speaking, I would say that, I don't know, maybe 20% of the people in Rockland probably need to go to downtown for a reason. And a lot of people in Rockland don't even go to downtown Sacramento. Downtown Sacramento isn't like, I guess, the hub that everyone thinks it is. I mean, if you live in Folsom, like that's kind of where you are. Folsom and El Dorado Hills, that's where you play, right? That's it. Now and again, you might go to Roseville, you might need the Apple Store or something like that. But part of you will be going like, do I just go to Arden? It's a little bit of a quicker drive. Now I don't have to deal with that traffic. And then on the other side, like Roseville, Rockland, Lincoln, that area just plays really nice with itself as well too. And then you got Elk Grove that maybe does lean a little bit more onto downtown, but that's going to change as well too with all the commercial and all the projects going in there. The Thomas does leverage downtown for sure, but downtown isn't that spot, especially if you're not new or if you're not like familiar with Sacramento. Downtown isn't that spot that everyone's like, oh my God, I've got to be close to downtown. A lot of people don't like being close to downtown. In fact, we've been talking to some people who've been wanting to move into the Sacramento area, and they're like, we don't want to be close to downtown. Honestly, we want to be suburban. We want to be like one of the satellite cities. That's what we want. We don't want to be close to downtown. So for the most part, like at least for me right now, that's kind of what I'm seeing left and right. And like I said, for me, it's going to be an interesting thing how it all kind of rolls out as far as that goes. Brendan actually is going to show up and we're going to talk a little probates because I want to give you guys a little insight on probate as well too. Let me answer some more questions. Hey, Tatiana, thank you for tuning in, by the way. I really appreciate you and I appreciate everyone who tuned in. Let's bring on Brendan and let's talk a little probate. Brendan, how you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for having me, Mark.
No problem. Now I got to put the earpiece in. All right, good. All right, so talk to us a little bit about probate listings and if they're, I know. Okay, so tell us a little bit about probate.
Sure. Well, first, I suppose I should, I'll touch on this. I'm not an attorney. I can't give legal advice. Probate is the court-monitored process to distribute a deceased person's assets. So anyone ever feels like they need legal advice, they should talk to an attorney. I'm a probate and trust specialist in real estate. I've done several probate sales and run a YouTube channel. I talk actually to a lot of realtors all the time on how to handle the process between listings and buying probate real estate as well.
All right, let's get into some of these graphs you mentioned right here. Boom. Mm-hmm. All right, so as far as Sacramento, can people like, and one of the things a lot of people are going to want to know is like, can they get deals with probate? You know what I mean? Like, how does that work? Like, as far as like, if someone's looking, because, I get calls all the time from people who are like, I need a deal. I want something off market. Like, is probate kind of one of those things where if like, let's say someone's working with you, can you help them find something kind of off market? Do you have a network of that kind of stuff?
Yeah. And that's really where the big deals are in probate. Sure, you can get deals on probate properties that are on the mix on Zillow. Everybody knows about it. Any mistakes, or buyers are scared because they saw a probate property. They don't know the process. Maybe a lot of agents don't really know that much about them. But for the most part, the best way to find a deal in probate is finding them off market, and there's ways to do that. Now, this graphic that you have on the screen there, those are probate listings in that are current on the MLS in Sacramento, Placer, and El Dorado County. There's not really a lot. So you see there's just over 25, 27 in Sacramento County, far fewer in Placer, about 8, 4 in El Dorado County. There's far more probates in the system than that. Not all of them have a house involved, but several do, and there's ways to find those.
Okay. Now, for me, I always say on the channel, it's like what I'm seeing the majority of the listings in the Sacramento area are the 3Ds: departing the state, divorcing, and death. So that's kind of like a lot of the listings that I'm seeing pop on the market as far as the new ones go. Like, so as far as you go, like, what was the main idea for you to jump into probate? Were you thinking to yourself, okay, I mean, what is the, like, if let's say someone calls up and they're like, yeah, I'm looking for a three bedroom home in Gold River, for example, and they're like thinking to themselves, how can I jump ahead of the pack because it's a competitive market? What do you tell that person?
Well, probate is where that can help, and if you know how to find them before they hit the market, then that is definitely an opportunity if they want to jump ahead of everybody. And there's several ways to do that. And I can get into some of that, the way that I find probate listings, if I'm actually searching for them. But there's other ways that people going through communities to do them. One way to go and see if you can find one is to go through the neighborhood and see who's really not taking care of their yard. I mean, Gold River is a great example because of the HOA there.
Yeah.
It'll stick out like a sore thumb. And it's very common in probate that somebody passed away. The family doesn't know what to do. They're not very quick on starting. I've worked probates where somebody passed away 20 plus years ago. Probate sales, and the family just didn't know what to do. And that's a bad idea, by the way. And I can get into some of that another time, of how costly that can be for the family. But if you can identify these properties through even that way, and then you have to do some searching for it through tax records, and it's kind of some sleuth work, you may be able to find something there.
Okay. So as far as someone looking out there right now, like, they see the lawn yellow and they're thinking to themselves, maybe this is one of those things I can jump in. Because what happened in Sun River, I had something happened, it was like about a year ago. And I saw this one house, and it was like, people in the neighborhood knew that 2 people had passed in the house. And, and they were thinking, like, and I was thinking to myself, I'm like, so how does that go from that to like sold? Do you know what I mean? Like, how does that kind of happen? And all of a sudden there wasn't even a sign. It was just sold. It was done. It was probate, boom. And it was done. So as far as like realtors, as far as like people looking for that, if they see something in a situation where they're like, yeah, eventually, we heard someone, passed or something like this, like, how do they kind of jump in front of that?
Yeah. So at that point, one of the first things you want to do is you want to take a look at the tax record and see how that home is titled. Mostly what you're looking for is it in a trust, or is it in a person's name? Now, it could benefit you either way, even if it's in a trust. If you know that the person passed away, well, that's an easier one. That's a successor trustee sale. And that has somewhat of a similar function as why an investor type or buyer looking for a good deal would be going for that property. Most likely it's going to go to some heirs. the great thing for getting a deal, if it's probate, is they're going through a much tougher process that is a very exhausting process for the members of that estate. So they're more likely to want to get rid of that property quickly. There's just so much more of a process and a timeline there. So if you see that it is just titled in a person's name, and that's the function of probate, is that now there is no legal person or entity that can actually sign can notarize a grant deed. So now the court has to give somebody approval in order or authority in order to do that. So if you're seeing that somebody passed away, it's titled in one person's name, well, that's great. Now you need to cross-reference to see if court websites, the county that you're actually in, to see if a probate petition has been filed. It's maybe even better for you if it hasn't. But through different resources, you may be able to find a family member and reach out to them and then make them an offer.
Okay. So let me ask you something, and let's we'll jump into probate a little bit more, but let's talk a little bit about the market in general, because you list a lot of things. Like I've seen a few homes that you've been listing. Like, how have you seen the market in Sacramento as far as like the demand for listings? Just, in general, like how do you see the market at this point?
It really depends on what you have and where you're at. The lower echelon of prices, there's far more demand for those, right? And it's funny to say that a $500,000 house is the lower echelon, right? But it just is. So the more affordable houses, the more likely they are to sell. Of course, list price always matters. And, I know your audience varies. There's realtors watching,
Oh yeah.
There's buyers watching, stuff like that. It's always funny to me that there's so much on the public side of things when they say, oh, this house sold for over list price. Well, if you priced a home at $1, it's going to sell over the list price. It all depends on where you're really pricing the house. If you overprice a house even at $500,000, that's really not a $500,000 house. It's maybe a $450,000 house. It's probably not going to sell, not very quickly. It's not going to sell over the list price either. But if priced at $450,000 and it's a $500,000 house, it is. So I guess what I'm saying there is that lower echelon is selling, not in every single case. Now I have one that's pending, $2.4 million. I had several offers on it. I still have people calling on it. I just yesterday had somebody calling to put a backup offer on it, and I already have a backup offer. So there's just certain homes that really are selling. Depends on the neighborhood. Some has to do with the price point. I'm seeing kind of that $700,000 to $900,000 price point is really sort of, there's a lot more inventory. What are you seeing, Mark?
Okay. For me, like it was that house I did the video on, correct? Like 2.4.
Yeah,
okay, so
that was a very active property.
Here's the thing though, that's crazy. A lot of people would assume because interest rates are high and, stocks and nervousness and Bay Area buyers aren't as much as they used to be, yada, yada. But I said it earlier in the broadcast. I think the luxury market is just saying like, doesn't really apply to me. I'm buying, I'm good. And I see the luxury, like I look at the stats for luxury prices in the Sacramento area and I'm like, it doesn't seem to be really, the luxury buyer doesn't seem to be really like daunted by any like interest rates, home insurance. They're like, I want to buy something that looks awesome and I'm good to buy it. And I think also in the Sacramento area, like it's funny, like maybe like 10 years ago, if someone, this is funny. If a realtor had like $1 million property, $1 million, like a listing that was worth $1 million and they listed it, they'd be like the talk of the town. But now the price point in Sacramento is like 2 million, like 3 million. Like it's just nuts about like the price point on these houses. It's like, it's crazy. I mean, like Sacramento is really, and affordability, I agree. Like we should be focused on affordable housing, but at the same time, like the price point in Sacramento, it's like people have figured out that Sacramento is such a good spot to live. What they can get here is awesome. And like the house you had, it wasn't in your typical like El Dorado Hills or Folsom or like Granite Bay. It was in like an OG neighborhood. What was that? That was Sierra Oaks, right?
Yeah, Sierra Oaks Vista, which is a great neighborhood. Yeah,
Oh
a
yeah.
ton of great properties right there. But you know, it's kind of an unassuming neighborhood if you drive by there and then you go through. Like, wow, look at all of these. There's a house that is maybe 2, 3 doors down from that one, where I just heard today that it was just a lot where I think they tore down 2 houses and built a house. I was told that it cost them $7 million to build this house, and it's a pretty unbelievable house. It's just such an incredible neighborhood over there.
Let me ask you something. If money like wasn't an object, yeah, what would be the max you'd probably spend here in Sacramento before you're saying like, okay, I might be hitting Santa Barbara? Like what does that look like as far as that goes? Because for me, I go like, for some people who are out here and they're like, I saw a house in like Loomis for over $5 million, another house like in Mid-Century for $5 million. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I get it. I love Sacramento, guys. Sacramento Kings. I love Sacramento, but I'm saying to myself, like $5 million. I'm like, at that point, I'm thinking Santa Barbara on the beach or something like that. If I could get it, what are you thinking as far as that goes?
What the maximum price is that somebody would pay for a house in our area?
Yeah, like I mean, I get it, but like 5 million in Sacramento, I mean, kind of a
There
kind of
was
a lot,
just from that house that we're talking about in Sierra Oaks Vista, and it's about 2 or 3 houses away from this one that was just built for 7 million. That would not sell for 7 million. I don't think that it would if you put it back in the market. Just construction costs are that much. It's wild. We talk about that at a different time, but this one sold off market for 5.3. Of the river or the mountains or something like that.
yeah.
Um, what can beat that? I don't know.
Question to the audience. I want to ask you guys this. Would you spend $5 million on a house in the Sacramento area? Would you spend over 5 million? I'm curious, just my own sanity, or at that point in time in $5 million, are you looking at maybe like another area? I'm just curious, and I'm playing, the advocate on that one, but I'm just curious if like, because for me at $5 million, like, I love Sacramento. I think it's great, but I don't know necessarily if that would be me, as much as I love Sacramento, love it, but I don't know. I mean, that's a lot of money, you know what I mean? To put into, I don't know. I don't know. If so, you guys out there, what do you guys think? $5 million in Sacramento? Would that be you? Would $5 million be something that you'd say, yeah, I'm okay with that? Or would you maybe think of it like Sacramento is like, getting up there and maybe $5 million turns into $7 million, which would be crazy. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know. We got Manuel who says, I wouldn't spend over $1 million. There's validity to that. I think here's my thought on Sacramento, right? I think you can get something pretty sweet for like about 850 to $1 million. I think you can. I think you can get something really, really nice, good to go in Sacramento, like something that's going to make all the Bay Area people say, oh, now I realize why you moved to Sacramento. 5 million? I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, I love Sac, but I'm like $5 million. I'd be buying maybe like a ranch somewhere or going to, I don't know, but 5 million is a lot. All right, Tatiana, I forgot what you said. I want a house in Roseville. Roseville is so nice. I like Roseville. What do you think? Brendan, do you like Roseville?
Roseville's not my town, but I get why people like it. It's 3 zip codes. You could be one portion of it that takes you forever to get to the freeway, but it has a lot going on. You don't have to leave Roseville to have a great time, to have a great dinner. There really is so much going on. A lot of conveniences.
I think here's the thing for me, and I've been talking about this on this channel a lot, is the fact that like Elk Grove is going to be its own thing. You know, like I did this video and I was like the best suburbs or whatever. Everyone's like, they're not suburbs, they're cities. And there is validity to what those comments were said. I mean, like Folsom is its own thing. Roseville is its own thing. Elk Grove is its own thing. I mean, it's interesting to just see what hub, like for you, like what's your hub? Like what is that area where you say I'm sticking around? Because for me, it's like majority, I mean, real estate, of course, you're driving where the work is. But for me, it's like, if I'm here and I'm just doing family stuff, it's like the Folsom kind of Gold River-ish kind of there. I'm not really a big fan of the 50 traffic getting downtown. Don't really like that, even though my brokerage is down there. And then I think of Roseville and I think of going down Sunrise, and I just don't like that. And then Elk Grove, I got to time that out really good. So for me, my little hub is like Folsom. If I dinner, boom, shopping, boom, you know, like what's your hub?
Yeah, I grew up in Fair Oaks. I've lived in Fair Oaks most of my life. I love Fair Oaks. It's like this sleeper community for some reason. Nobody talks about it. Fair Oaks is full of custom homes that are not like anything else you've seen all around Sacramento on large lots. Problem with buying one is they're almost always dated, and you'll spend 800, 900,000 for a dated house, but they're very unique. I love Fair Oaks. I'm right next to Folsom. I live in Phoenix Field, which a long time ago used to be an airport. All those homes were built in the 90s, whereas most of Fair Oaks is older than that. So I'm right there by that 50 Hazel corridor. I love Sutter Street in Folsom.
Yeah.
Sutter Street Steakhouse is one of my favorites. Folsom has so much to offer. So this is more my side of town. So I'm a little bit biased to the Fair Oaks and adjacent areas.
Let me ask you, when someone says, hey, you got to go to the Roseville Galleria for something, do you kind of cringe a little?
Yeah, man. Oh man, you know, I have a thing with my wife. I told her that the last time she had me go to the mall, she wasn't allowed to in general. But yeah, it's not for me.
It's the parking too. It seems to be a little trafficky. That's the only spot in the Sacramento metro that reminds me of like the Bay. It gets me that nervous, stressing, like waiting for people to come out to park. I'm not a big fan of that. All right, we got Raider Law. Okay, where are you? Where are the homes for under here? I'm gonna drop a video right now. I'm gonna give you guys a video clip of this builder in Rockland, Whitney Ranch, that's dropping some under $500,000 homes, and they're in trouble. So I expect you guys to see some more homes. Here's ad number one. Today we're in Rockland, California in Whitney Ranch, and I'm going to show you the most affordable brand new home currently on the market under $500,000. Come on, let's go for a tour. Okay, looking for Whitney Ranch, looking for Rockland, guys. This is pretty much the most affordable home you're going to find in Rockland. HOAs are 188. There's going to be a community area, but you're not part of the Whitney Ranch clubhouse. But like I said, 188, that isn't bad for HOAs. Now for ad valorem as well too, Melrose 1.09%, which isn't bad as well either. Now here's the thing, these are pretty much houses with tiny backyards. So you're looking at like maybe 5 feet deep for the backyard. But this itself is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1570 square feet. All the bedrooms are on the top floor, super close to good schools in Rockland and everything too. This house, honestly, you're not going to find a deal like this in too many areas of the Sacramento metro, let alone Rockland. Now you are on PG&E, and like I said, there is Melrose and there is HOAs, but if you're someone who's looking for an investment property, if you're someone who's looking for, I don't know, basically anything underneath $500,000, this is pretty much it in the Rockland area. So like I said, all the bedrooms are on the top. This is a KB home. There's a washroom right over there, but it's not bad as far as being in like the school district, being in Rockland, being in Whitney Ranch. The other thing too is the Whitney Ranch Retail Center is being built super close by as well too. So you could see some crazy appreciation. Reach out today for more details. Like I said, this one probably will go pretty fast. It's gonna be ready in December just for you. All right, so that home in Rockland, we're talking like right there, Whitney Ranch Retail Center is being built. It's a 3 and 2, and I know what you guys are going to say. Yeah, the backyard looks like tiny, and I get it. It's a 3 and 2, and it feels a little tight, right? But I'll tell you something, for a brand new home, I mean, it's hard to get anything under maybe $500,000. Now there is an Elliott home, an Elliott community that will get you under 500 in Rancho. In Vineyard, there's a couple select floor plans by Taylor, but for the most part, like this is in Rockland. This is like right next, I think it is like Whitney, the Whitney High School, and like elementary schools are super close by. And as far as like investment property, not too shabby for a 3-2, considering the Whitney Ranch Retail Center is right there and the growth of Rockland. So for me, I look at that and I go, just, you're not going to get something under $500,000 in that area, in the Whitney Ranch kind of area. So for me, guys, like that home, 3-2, and they're hurting. And honestly, there's some major incentives coming with this home as well too. So you're under 500, you got a 3-2. Yeah, the backyard isn't great, but for me, as far as an investor goes, maybe you get some incentives on it. Not bad. What do you think of that?
That's fantastic, especially in Rockland. Great community. There's so much going on there, especially family community. If you're looking for that, great schools. Some of the best sports programs for high school is out there in Rockland.
Oh yeah, Rockland is so in demand. And like, the funniest thing too for you guys, the rule of thumb in real estate as well too is you always buy the most affordable home in an area. And so when you're surrounded by Whitney Ranch and you're talking like 750s, 850s, $2 million homes, like what does that do for your appreciation? What does that do? So for me, like that community, like for investors, for someone who's looking to jump into some good schools or even just test out the market, I mean, my thought is like you jump into there, you stay there for maybe 2 years, it becomes your first rental property, and then you move wherever you want to after you explore the area. So I love that home as far as like the price point, as far as what's being built in Rockland. So that is a home of the day. And like I said, I'll be doing another video on all the 500s in the area as well too. So wait for that to come as well too. All right, there are single story homes that are located in the gated community that cost only 600s. Yeah, JMC communities. JMC is giving away the farm on some of these houses as well too. I mean, they're hot to trot on their new communities they're releasing. So yeah, I would say JMC is a hot buy. The only thing I will say though is I went to JMC this weekend, and it's just I think they needed to punch it up a little bit with their interiors, but I think other than that, they're good. Brandon, what's your experience with new homes? Have you seen them a lot? Do you work in the new home space?
Nowhere near as much as you. I have always considered you for a while as kind of that pro, but yeah, I have for multiple builders, and new construction is great for a lot of people. My opinion on it is if you're planning on staying for a while, it's even better or more advisable. Sometimes people are thinking they might move in 2-3 years, and unless they can keep that as a rental, maybe new construction isn't what I would typically recommend. It's not quite the same analogy as driving a new car off the lot and then the resale, but a lot of them don't come with the landscaping, or they might have overbuilt new construction in that particular community, and then you go to sell your house in 2 years, but phase 5 or 6 or 7 is coming out, and now you're competing with new construction in your own community, maybe even the same floor plan. So those are just some things to consider. But man, I mean, the customization you can do with certain builders, the possibility of like a rate buy down and all that, that's some fantastic stuff.
Here's the thing also, guys, hopefully you guys are enjoying this broadcast. Brendan is a good, high integrity, good person. Like I said, that's the only type of people I like bringing on the show. You know what I mean? This isn't a pay to play like, the B or other media formats. This is basically like, he does good business. He's a good person as well as that too. He treats his clients very, very well. And he doesn't just only do probate as well too. So if you're looking and you're thinking to yourself, hey man, this guy seems like a good guy, he is a good guy. So like I said, I only bring quality people for you guys, because I do think also that in real estate, maybe I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and you should have choices in front of you, and they shouldn't be Zillow profiles that look like high school yearbook photos. So I think that coming on the show, I mean, and testing a little bit of your, like, how good of a realtor you are, because in the Sacramento area, I don't think there's a lot of people who could really go toe to toe for like an hour plus answering your questions left and right. And like I said, I bring on the people who I think can do it. And Brandon's got you've got a sweet YouTube channel as well too, all about probate. But you do other things other than probate, correct?
Oh yeah, yeah. Sometimes people think like I'm just a probate realtor, but I have a lot of content on the YouTube channel. The thing I actually field the most, I get a lot of calls, is agents calling me to ask how to sell a property that they're having. I got into this. I connected with a legal document assistant who handles probates, and he's a non-attorney who he's probated 4,000 plus estates for a significant discount from what an attorney would charge. So he gets a lot of business. And I started doing them for him, and I just really like learning that process. But I started in real estate doing regular real estate. I have a marketing background. I used to own a chain of retail stores. The skateboard behind me has to do with that. Um, and marketing was always my thing. So I really, really love listing homes. But yeah, clearly I have that luxury listing. I have several others coming on the market, but uh, the probate side of things is pretty interesting, and so many stories that come with them. They can be very, very difficult to work, especially on the listing side.
Well, for you, like one of the things I really respected about you is the fact that like when I went in, because I was like, dying to see that house. Like I said, I have a video on it. It's just like stellar, like king trusses. I mean, this house is just like a very, very unique one in Sacramento. And I'm like, hey, I want to do a video for it. And you're like, yeah, go for it. Have fun. Knock yourself out. Do it. It's gonna be awesome. And the funniest thing is there's so many luxury agents or luxury whatever in this market. And a lot of them, like I just, I saw this one house. I was like, oh, this would be kind of fun to do a video for. And I mean, just shot down. And it was like, I was like, really? You don't want it to be in front of thousands of people and get views and maybe sell it? And I don't know if it's mainly they're just trying to double in the deal or they're just very, very into that whole like old school mentality of like, no, it's mine. Like, and it amazes me. And I would say to you guys out there too, I mean, when you're thinking about listing your house, like you want to work with someone who basically is, getting some media eyeballs around your house. If your realtor doesn't think outside the box and they have the old school Sacramento, like, hey, post in the ground, it's my precious, like ditch them. I mean, honestly, like I was so shocked. I was like, really? You don't want me to do a video that's for free, put it on this channel and help you sell it. And she'll probably end up losing the listing because she just doesn't think outside the box. So I was completely blown away myself. I was like, seriously, like it just showed the lack of like outside the box thinking of a lot of listing agents where they're like, they'd rather just have that feather in their cap for a little while as opposed to actually sell the house. And I think it's a complete disservice a lot of these listing agents do to their clients. They just do it 2-week push and then they're gone to the next one and that's it. And they move on to the next. And I appreciate you, letting me go in there and video that because it was great. That house was awesome, really, really good. And I kudos to you. Hats off if I had a hat to you.
Thanks, Mark. When you contacted me, I said, of course I'm going to let you do it. One, I know you, how you market things and how you push that out. And clearly, the power of video. But it's so interesting because we didn't talk about what you just mentioned about your experience with a lot of luxury, uh, you know, uh, agents or ones that do a lot of that. Why would they not have said, yeah, Mark, go and do this video? Video can be so powerful, especially in the luxury market, to where you're not just looking for people in Sacramento. The MLS does not give the that video viewpoint to the typical buyer. They don't know that all the neighborhoods typically. They can find that on several different avenues. Your YouTube is a perfect example of that. When people are like, "Well, what's it like to live in Sacramento?" They're in the Bay Area and they have Bay Area money, and they're seeing a million in San Jose, but incredible.
Oh yeah. I mean,
I've been able
we've
to
sold.
kind of peek behind.
Oh, go for it. Oh, I was going to say we've sold 9 homes with the YouTube channel, like straight up 9 people, 9 homes. They saw these homes, they came out here and they just, they fell in love with it once they stepped in because the videos were done correctly and everything too. I don't understand. Like that's the funniest thing with a lot of listing agents here in the Sacramento area. It's like they just don't understand the power of social media marketing and everything too. I think that, and it's a shame, I think, because at the end of the day, I think there's a lot of listings that are sitting online, sitting on the MLS, sitting, and I think, a lot of owners, sellers are like losing a lot of money because, the realtor is kind of like, it's not selling, it's good, don't worry about it. I moved on to the next. And I think there is a lot of, I think hopefully there's a shakeup that happens around here where, people are working with people based on like their marketing ability and not just because, they might have been doing this for the last 20 years. I mean, a lot of the techniques are just antiquated. All right.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. On my situation, just with that particular listing, I've seen a lot of even kind of behind the scenes in my conversations with some agents, and the little that they actually do, it's the list it and forget it mentality that you basically
Oh
mentioned,
yeah.
2 week push, whatever. Um, you could do so much more. In some ways, some of them are not even treated as one of the, a middle of the road, whatever, $600,000 listing. They're not even treated to that level, let alone a
Yeah.
luxury property, which I think deserves and really needs an extra touch. You're right, trying to cast a much wider net with those. And one, one thing that I always tell people with my visual marketing is my most important piece, whatever I'm doing, whether it's the photos or the video. And I put a lot of time in the actual prep coming up to it. A lot of people think that, when we put listings on, that it just happens. It can happen, within a week. And there's so much more prep that really needs to happen. And the thing I tell people is when you want to list your house, you want to do it in a way to where the marketing creates a positive emotional response. People don't care about whatever the insulation you just put in. They don't really care so much that you just put solar on or new HVACs, but they really like the way that looks in the pictures and the video, even the music itself and the video, all of that. You want to strike emotion, and your videos do that. I
Thanks.
don't know that I've seen anybody who does it better than you, Mark.
Thanks, man. I'll pay you that 100 after we get off the show, but I appreciate
Yeah.
it. All right. So I got a question here. We got a question coming in from T Squares. Hey, Mark, do you have any tips on shopping for home insurance? What to look for? Considering. I got a quote from Beezer Homes, but I'd like to explore more options. I would say one is always work with a broker, whether it's with farmers or whatnot. Always work with a broker. Number 2 is I would also say talk to my buddy Javier Ortiz, who's really good in the area. But I would also say just the main thing is just work with a broker and talk to also maybe some of your neighbors who they kind of go through as well too. But Javier gets some of the best quotes, period. How about you? What do you think?
Yeah, a broker's the way to go. If you have a go-to that really knows the industry, maybe not just works with one, but works with several, that's the way to go.
Yeah. And like I said, if you have any questions about it or you want to hit me offline, I'm always free to talk about that stuff too. It's sad, but I live for this stuff. All right. We got with home appreciations on the average 3.5. Is borrowing anything higher a bad idea, especially if rates aren't guaranteed to come down? It's tough. Like I always say on this channel, time your life, don't time the market. But it's really, really tough. There's a lot of people. I think you gotta look at your scenario, right? And that's the whole thing. Everyone's gonna tell you, oh, buy now, refinance later. I don't think rates are gonna go under 3.5. Maybe not for my lifetime. I would say, figure out if it's a job move and you got to make it happen. I mean, right now, the buyer that is looking, it maybe wants to move in Sacramento, but doesn't need to move. Those are the ones you got to evaluate. But like at the same time, I look at this and I say to myself, like, I got a 4% interest rate, and mine is still above that. I don't know. It's tough. I think you just got to evaluate your own situation and figure out what your wants and needs are. And if it makes sense for me, my biggest thing was this: I wanted to get my family a bigger house. I wanted to get and being, transparent, wanted to get my daughter a pool because I never grew up with one. I wanted that for her, which she doesn't use as much as she should. But that's what I did. And I didn't really, I was thinking to myself, okay, interest rates are, what they are. Would I have bought that house if interest rates were what they are right now? I probably still would have, because there is a part of me that I always think of like it as saying to myself, like, how do you say it? Like, I knew Gold River would pop. I just knew it. I knew Gold River was undervalued, and I just knew where I was buying, and I knew it would work. And I made money already, like as far as appreciation in my area too. But I think you got to just understand that there's two ways to think about it. One is, time your life, don't time the market, i.e., you want the quality of life. And there's something about, having that quality of life that I think a lot of people like forget about. Like our parents, bought in communities because they wanted a better life for their family. They didn't think of it as in like a stock chip or stock, a stock, and nowadays the Zestimates get in our heads, the realtor.coms get in our head, and the Redfins get in our head. You just have to have a balance between like timing your life, don't timing the market, and also doing enough research where you feel comfortable about your decision. Those are things, at least for me, that really weigh into my decision. How about you?
Yeah, timing the market is one of the worst things you could do. Trying to time the market, you're probably going to lose with any market. Stock market, whatever. You're going to lose. And when you look at the history of the housing market in general, yeah, home prices don't always go up, but the trend has been consistently over time, with the exception of the dips in recessions, on the rise, and that follows inflation. There's really always inflation. It's like a key word these days. Like it's never happened, but inflation is normal, and that's going to continue to happen. But yeah, evaluate your own situation. I have something I
Yeah.
call the graveyard of home ownership dreams, because throughout my career, it really started probably around maybe 2015. I've had people say, "I'm going to wait for home prices to go down." I even had a guy who's a commercial agent in the Bay Area argue with me in 2017 that there'll be a housing market crash soon. He said that home prices were going to crash by 20% because of some YouTube video he saw. And they always state one reason. If anyone's ever studied like the Great Recession, which by the way is the only stock market or the only housing market crash. So it wasn't one thing or two things or three things. If you ever take the SAFE Act course to get your NMLS to be a loan officer, um, they have a whole course on it. It's what they actually call a perfect storm of events that made that happen. So don't time the market is really what I'm saying there. So, anyways, he told me the market would crash by 20%. That was in 2017, and I told him, "Look, man, all the reasons why." I told him that was unlikely, and he told me I was just trying to sell him a house. So, I think a lot of times when people, you know, say things like that, they've already made up their mind. You know, I don't know if I was going to be his realtor or not. I'm just saying, I don't think you're correct, but I can't predict the future. If it's right for you, jump in.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, you got to just kind of also evaluate your job situation, money in the bank and everything too. Don't count on the refi, and just, for me, one of the things that is vital for anyone looking to buy a house is make sure that payment doesn't keep you up till 2 a.m. sweating on it. Don't do that to yourself. That's not worth it. Life's too short for that kind of stress. All right, we got the $5
Something
million.
you said there.
Huh? Yo, go for it.
Oh no, something you said there. I went to a conference in 2022, and it was the summer of 2022, and we remember in real estate, we remember what happened to rates in 2022 around March or so. They started rising, and it'd gone up to around 6% or so in July or August, and it was very quick. I went to a seminar, and the keynote speaker said, what you got to tell your clients is marry the house and date the rate. And people were cheering. I thought it was, one, I don't like taglines, but how are you going to predict that? So you're telling people, oh, buy something that I'm uncomfortable with buying at this rate and count on a refi later on. And that was 3 years ago. And rates are actually a little bit higher right now than that point. So
Yeah.
how is that working out with the people who thought they were going to date the rate?
Oh, no, I'm with you. I mean, you got to focus on the right here, right now. What's that payment look like? Your job situation, money in the bank, and all that stuff too. It's just, I've seen people lose on that stuff more than win. So, I'm with you 100%. All right, let's hit this $5 million question. Would you guys spend $5 million in Sacramento? Because there's some houses right now in the market over 5. All right, I wouldn't spend over $1 million. Like I said, validity, I'd say you can get something pretty nice here in Sacramento. You don't have to go over a mil. Pamela says, I wouldn't spend that anywhere. It would be, yeah, I don't know if I could do that. I think I would be like, I don't know. That's just a lot. Manuel says 5 million, I am a ranch with no neighbors. Still though, that's a lot of land to maintain. Do you know what I mean? That's just a lot of land to maintain. I mean, if I had that kind of money, which I do not, I might break it up into like a vacation home and this and everything too. But I don't know. I couldn't imagine spending that. I couldn't imagine. I hear about that stuff. Like I see like Kevin Costner buys $21 million home. And I'm like, really? Okay. I mean, I guess so. All right. There was a winery in Lodi last year for 3.7 mil. See, okay. Wineries, okay. Manuel says Elk Grove, yuck. What do you think of Elk Grove?
What do I think of it?
Yeah.
From when, because I live in Fair Oaks, when somebody tells me they're having a housewarming party in Elk Grove, it sounds like I have to drive to the Bay Area. It's just something about where it's located. I have to go way up 50 or down Bradshaw and all these stoplights and stuff like that. But it's a great community. It's a very sprawling community. It doesn't have as much as far as amenities goes as the restaurants, as say if you went over to a Roseville. But it has a lot going on with a lot of newer homes and great community, great schools. It continues to expand though. I'm not a fan of that part of the freeway, the 99 and the 5. A bigger jackknifes on one, and then everyone's cutting across, like Elk Grove Boulevard or something like that.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, jackknifes on 5, and now 99 is backed up like crazy. For whatever reason that happens, enough for it to be annoying. Well, that's a main trucking route. So
yeah. I don't know. For me, like Elk Grove is just, man, if there's one area where you're looking at it and just like, there's like maybe like 12 new home builders there. There's, at least like 20 communities, each one building a few of them. And there's more plans for building and building. I mean, Taylor Morrison planted a huge flag in Elk Grove too. Then you got Arbor Ranch. It's just, I don't know. Elk Grove is just crazy, the type of building they're doing it. Although Elk Grove, for me, the one thing about Elk Grove that really annoys me is their city politics or whatnot. They lost the zoo. They lost like the medical school. I mean, I don't know. I think that there's something going on there. My own 2 cents. All right. Manuel says 1 million. I would look in Davis. Here's the thing about Davis. $1 million does not get you too much in Davis. Not anymore. Davis's market's just on fire as well too. I mean, Davis is a hard market to get into, like $1 million, you're barely scratching the surface in Davis, don't you think?
Oh yeah, barely scratching the surface, and you have to do a little bit more to sell your home there. There's city requirements, kind of like what you'd see in the Bay Area, with some of your property condition guidelines.
Oh yeah. All right, we got Manuel says Fair Oaks has nice homes. Most need remodels. Fair Oaks is an interesting one. It's your hood. I love Phoenix Fields though. I've talked about it, done videos on it. Love that area. I think the area is one of the most like secret, nice community parks right there. I love that area. I think the price point is you can jump in there as well too. I think the family community, I think that area is just amazing. But I think also Fair Oaks is an interesting one. Like you mentioned, Fair Oaks has $1 million homes, like New York, the Illinois, those streets over there too, Kenneth. And then you got like the Fair Oaks. Like, do you know this area in Fair Oaks? It's weird. It's like you go through a gate, and then you go over this bridge that has like that house on it where you go through it, the covered bridge, and then you go at the very, very top of for like a street. I saw this one area of Fair Oaks. Fair Oaks is one of those areas, I'll tell you straight up, Fair Oaks will surprise you. You do not know everything about Fair Oaks, like until you probably live there like you do. Like Curro Downs, the area by Kenneth. Then you got like Chickens downtown, and then you got like Phoenix Fields, and you got like so many different areas of parts of Fair Oaks. Fair Oaks is really, really, really cute. It's a hallmarky, and it's like farmy, and it's like bougie all in one area. I mean, it's a great spot, don't you think? I mean, you love it, so
I love Fair Oaks, and it's pretty diverse as far as the types of homes, and then the, the different little areas. The what's called people might refer to it as Old Fair Oaks or Old Town Fair Oaks. It's called the Fair Oaks Village, where there's these chickens that are roaming around. There's not as many as anymore because of a few efforts to not have as many of these feral chickens running around. But it's a really cute little area, and they're revamping the park. It's actually been a 6-year project out there. It's like the community hasn't been real happy about how long it's been taking. But it's an all new amphitheater. There's in 2015 a brew pub opened, and that kind of spawned a whole bunch of other businesses coming in to where this great restaurant that's kind of like an East Sac type of restaurant, Shangri-La, opened, and another brewery is opening there. There's been a few more restaurants that have opened right there in that little area. And then you're right by the river. You go down to the old Fair Oaks Bridge. People often call it the Red Bridge. Just such a beautiful area. And you can go up on the bluffs and stare down at Gold River and shake your fist at them.
There you go.
Just
I know
like
there's
that.
a rivalry. The rivalry. All right, we got Buzzy B. He says Taylor Morrison. You said Taylor Morrison bought a land in Folsom Ranch. Do you know where it is? What would be the price point? Okay, so what I've heard from my buddy Shig over at Folsom Ranch is it's going to be basically the exact same thing. Like, okay, if you see the floor plans and everything, the ravine, the highland, all that stuff too, they had that exact community on the other side of East Bidwell. So they're going to do pretty much another exact community just like that one, like the one they have right now. But I think it's going to be further back. I'm not 100% sure exactly, but once I have the land details, but I think you're going to see the same kind of floor plans that you've seen right now at this Taylor that they're building out and finishing up. So I think it's going to be the same kind of community because they're not at Folsom Ranch. They're not veering too far off that formula. It's like the highland, the ravine, those type of floor plans. They've been selling really well for them, so they're not going to veer off that. And you're probably going to just see them kind of like I said, a little further on down the road. The big one though, for them is going to be the one they're opening in Rancho. That's going to be probably in what I've heard, like in the 4s and 5s. So that's going to be interesting too. So Taylor's very active, and they're not going to be leaving Elk Grove either for a long time. So Taylor's building. All right. Manuel says Fair Oaks, the East area serial killer turf. Well, hopefully not. All right. Neighbors too close. No thanks. All right. Yeah. Here's the thing about new homes. You either love them or you hate them. But here's what I'm finding for new homes is it's good to have. Here's the thing. Areas like the Bay Area, areas like SoCal, you're not going to have as many new home builders. One of the things that's kept us kind of afloat, kept us going, kept us like giving people options has been the new homes. Love them or hate them. The thing that's kept our market kind of churning and burning have been the new homes. A lot of people, if we didn't have new homes, probably our market would be completely at a standstill at this point. New homes are one of those things where people come up there, they look at some resale, they say, the inventory is not what I like. Rates are too high. You got door number 3, which is sometimes the new homes. And they're like, whoa, okay, so I can get a new home. I can get a low rate. I can get that. And it's great that we have them here because, like I said, it's really like, it's started our market many times because we have that option for people to jump into. And areas like, this is an interesting one, areas like Vegas, areas like Phoenix, a lot of the new homes, when the market's really rocking, they're more expensive than like resale homes, right? Our market, not so much. I mean, you look at Folsom, it's more affordable and easier to buy a new home than it is to buy a resale home. So, I think that helps us out. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, well, one, Folsom is a fantastic community. Another one with some high schools with great sports programs. If your kid is ever into practically any sport, both high schools there are great. But yeah, all that new construction they're doing. I'm only concerned that one day it's going to make it a lot more difficult on that 50 corridor going up to El Dorado Hills, or shooting up to Apple Hill. The traffic getting worse, but so far it hasn't. Doesn't seem like it has.
All right, we got Manuel who says, Mark, no offense, but most people looking to sell or buy their homes will be found if it's the right fit. And then follow up was, when looking, we don't care who the agent is. Most young folks are online for hours. Nobody buys based on their agent. Okay, so here's where it gets interesting. Okay, now, I think it was like 3 or 4 of the houses that we've sold on YouTube were to people who didn't even consider Sacramento. They weren't even considering Sacramento. They didn't want Sacramento. They didn't think Sacramento had those homes. A lot of them actually reached out to us and were like, I didn't know Sacramento had these type of houses. And it's not really like, and I totally understand your point, and you're totally valid in your statement as well too. I think that, majority of the people who look for homes, Zillow, who cares what the agent is, that's what I want, I'm going to do it. But I do overlooked a lot. I think people think Sacramento is hot, dry. It's just on the way to Tahoe, and that's good. For me, from the Bay Area, I lived in the Bay Area. I didn't realize Sacramento had the type of houses that it does, the type of neighborhoods and communities that it does. So I do think that, I don't necessarily think that a YouTube video is going to, be the end all and be all, but I do think that if you're paying a realtor, let's say you're selling $1 million home, you're going to probably pay the realtor, based on commission, 2.5. So you're paying them $25,000 to basically list your home, right? And sell your home, which, Brandon and I are both on the same page. It's not really, there's not a whole lot to it. Honestly, bake the cookies, put the sign up. So the idea is that a listing agent should go above and beyond, the staging, the videos. It might not do anything, and it might. You're right, it might not. But the idea is that I see listing agents not putting their money where their mouth is. They're going very, very cheap on the marketing and all that stuff. And for me, I think that that's a shortcut. That if you are selling your house, that's almost like not bringing wine to a dinner party. Right? It's just very much bad form. When you see these luxury agents selling $4 million houses, here's a kicker, right? Normally, more than not, they're going to be charging 2.5. So if they sell a $4 million house, they're making about $100,000. Now, if they double end it, they're making $200,000 on selling a person's house. And they're not doing the video. They're not doing this. They're not doing that. For me, that's what bugs me. It's not mainly the main thing that the YouTube video is going to be end all and be all. It's the idea that someone's making a good amount of money, sometimes not even that much work, and they're just shortcutting it. And for me, that would piss me off if I was an owner, if I was a seller. And so for me, that's the stuff that kind of irks me a little bit. The idea that realtors are making good money and they should put their money into their listings, do everything they possibly can do so they sleep well at night, feeling like they did everything they could for the seller and they did their job correctly and they're good. And I see a lot of luxury agents not doing it, and that really does bother me. What do you think?
I'm right there with you, and I've seen it up close very recently, and analyzing just when you're going over comparables and you're looking on the back end of all their marketing, if they have any sort of links to videos or any kind of walkthrough at all, the quality of their photos, you can tell from just how the home is set up, how it's staged. Either it's not professionally staged necessarily, but going through and guiding on how that house is set up just in general. And you can tell if it was an afterthought, if it was just like, hey, my photographer's going to show up tomorrow at noon, and that's the way that went. You got to try hard. I mean, you can get an offer without doing all that, sure. And you could do all of that extra marketing, the video and everything, and still have not gotten a better offer than the one that you end up, accepting. But if you don't try, you're not going to get that better offer. And you absolutely can. It can be very, very worth it, especially on that luxury market. You can get offer $100,000, $200,000 higher from somebody who fell in love with the house because of the video. And that does happen.
Oh, 100%. All right. I've seen a house on my block sitting for 1 year because the agent listed it too high. Again, and I mentioned this on this channel too. I think like, and Brandon as well too. I mean, like, you got to go aggressive pricing. I mean, you guys have seen me. I list a lot of homes and everything too. My main thing is we got to go aggressive. I mean, within the first 2 weeks, you're going to know how the house is doing. And if you don't have aggressive pricing, you're going to start reducing. And at that point, no one's going to bring you even a list offer. Everyone's going to think there's something wrong with the house. So aggressive pricing saves the day. What I noticed too is a lot of people are afraid to just tell the seller, this is the strategy. This is what we do. And it's not about, it's not about appeasing. It's more just about realistic. I don't want you carrying the house for 4 or 5 months. And then all of a sudden, it was because I didn't really have the guts, I guess, to tell you what we should be doing as a pricing wise. So, for me, like the first 2 weeks tell you a lot. What do you think?
Oh yeah, the first 2 weeks. If you're not getting 2 to 3 showings a week, if you're not getting an offer within the week, 2 to 3 showings, it's probably price. One thing about that question, the realtor priced the home too high. I would love to know what actually happened in that conversation, because when it's me, and I don't know how every agent does it, I give my clients a ton of data, a ton of strategy, and I tell them, here's what I would suggest, a price or a range based on the situation. The seller chooses the price. I make the suggestion based on the data. So whenever I list a house, it's not necessarily me that chose the price. It's actually the seller who chose the price. They hopefully listened to me and my strategy and the status of the market, and priced it appropriately. And I think you do have to, in this current market, for the most part, unless your house is super unique, price very aggressively. Really, in a hot market, that works too, pricing aggressively, and then you're kind of getting it sort of bid up, if you will.
Oh yeah. Manuel says, Mark is not a financial advisor, guys. And I'm not. I'm a realtor in Sacramento. For the most part, like this podcast and when we come in live, it's just kind of like the boots on the ground idea of what the market's looking like right now. And once you do enough deals, you can kind of see the lay of the land. Everything kind of becomes a little clearer as far as this market. I mean, going through it, just the different years and the different things you kind of go through. And, I'd say for anyone looking to do a deal, sell their home or, buy a home in this market, I do think there's also a level of like your due diligence. I mean, my thought is that, at least for me, I spend about a year looking if I'm going to buy a TV, and I do my research. I watch YouTube videos and everything too. I think there also should be that level of due diligence for anything that, you're doing as far as that goes too. So that would be my thing. Like I said, like we love working with people and we love answering questions. But one thing is, we're not selly. We educate based on like, what our track record has been by putting people through, new homes. If someone says, hey, how's Taylor Morrison as a builder? I'm like, well, different communities, different superintendents. We put in maybe over the last few years, maybe like, I don't know, like 35, 40 houses, Taylor Morrison. This is the experience we've had. Doesn't mean that that's gonna be your experience, but this is kind of like what we've gone through with clients. So we can give you a little bit of that. As far as incentives, as far as all that stuff goes, all I can tell you is like what the person got before you and how to look at the market. And, that's kind of where we come in, right? And like I said, Manuel is right. I'm not a financial advisor and I don't play one on TV. Okay, until you date for 15 years, I'd date the rate. All right. Let's go. Elk Grove, you spend 20 minutes going down the street. Yes, and that's why Brent doesn't go to Elk Grove that much. Correct? All right, here we go.
Right.
Go for it. I got one for you. I will not spend $5 million in Sacramento. If you have that much money, I would buy a condo in NYC or buy a home in Belmont, California. Okay, what do you think? $5 million. Where are you buying a house?
Where am I buying a house? Oh, I love it here. I don't think I could leave. I would buy a house on the bluffs overlooking the river so I can shake my fist at Gold River. And I would still have at least $3 million in my pocket. So,
yeah, it'd be hard for me to spend that on a house. I'm with you. It'd be too tough. Are many people from the Bay are moving to in the Valley? Yeah. I mean, I think people from the Bay right now are just kind of honestly just sick of the Bay. I think the prices are crazy. Everyone we talk to, and I'm sure you have these same conversations, people are like, just, sick of buying something just to buy something based on the location. People want that house that, they always wanted when when they were young. They're like, I always wanted a house that I could have people over at, barbecue at. I want that community vibe. So there's people moving out of the Bay Area. I think the Bay Area people are just leaving. I mean, don't get me wrong, weather, nice, food and all that stuff too, but I don't know. At least for me, I like the pace of Sacramento. I love how we're on the ground floor of something pretty amazing. Like I said, I'm like you. Like I love the area. It's awesome, and I ain't going anywhere anytime soon. All right. What do you think? You get a lot of clients that are moving out of the Bay, correct?
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. And it's interesting what they end up liking. Um, I feel like a lot of them gravitate towards something that maybe reminds them of the Bay Area, which would be something like East Sac. Um, but then they maybe find that that's not as affordable because East Sac proper is pretty high dollar compared to a lot of Sacramento for the scale or size of the house. So they might move to, gosh, really, it's been all over the place. I've seen them go to Roseville. I've seen them go to Folsom. I've seen them go to Fair Oaks, everywhere. But yeah, it's about that affordability.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, like for me, I grew up in the Bay, and if I stayed in the Bay Area, I would have just bought something and been lucky to get it, right? Oh, I got it. I got something. And here it's like, I love my house. I love the whole, like, what I bought. I love it. I have that pride of home ownership. I'm not a happy guy paying my mortgage, like just like everyone else, but I look at what I get for it and I go, yeah, okay, I'm good that way. I'm okay. So yeah. All right, we got one. Hello, wondering how are buying and listing agents protecting owners against dealing with title fraud properties? Ooh, what do you think?
Okay, so
I
that's
know you got
such an
stories.
yeah. This makes me light up because I dealt with in probate title fraud issue, and so one of my most popular videos is how we thwarted title theft. Um, and in this particular case, it was a property where the decedent, that's the person who owned the house, passed away. He had passed away 6 months prior, and it was very obvious that the house was vacant. Um, Somebody discovered that and looked at the title and found that there was nothing encumbering the title, like a lien, such as a mortgage. There wasn't like a lawsuit or anything like that. Those kind of homes are very those are your targets because you can get a refi on them um, more easily through that title theft process. In this particular case, they forged a grant deed and used a stolen notary stamp. And I would probably take a good portion of your show to tell this story, or it's a pretty interesting story though, man. But what there's some ways to protect yourself from title theft. One, if you start to see any weird mailings, um, such as some sort of changes, maybe a change of address card, something from title companies all of a sudden. But something interesting that happened to me very recently. Um, well, getting back to that other one real quick. So while we were waiting for that to work out through the title theft issue be reversed, and that was a ton of work for us. We had filed a lis pendens, and a lis pendens is basically just something that says there's some sort of pending legal action, and that's most likely going to block any attempt at a refi, because that's often what they want to do. They want to do like a cash out refi and run away with the cash. Um, so that is something that you could do. You could put a lis pendens on your own house. What I would make sure to do is to, well, one, you should have your house in a trust. Um, and then if you put a lis pendens on your own house, then if you don't have a mortgage on it, then people are going to see that there's this lis pendens on title. So that will help protect you. It may not protect you completely, but you want to make sure that the document to release that lis pendens is within that paperwork that your loved ones can find should you pass away, because otherwise it's going to be a headache for them. Another thing that I've seen very recently is somebody put a mortgage on their own house, and I'm not exactly sure how they did this. and what the legal way to do it is. But it was actually the idea of my client's mother-in-law, who was a former CEO of a major title company. And they put a $1.5 million mortgage on this house that didn't actually exist. The problem there is, well, one, I don't know how legal it is to do it that way. So you'd probably want to talk to maybe, I don't know, an attorney on that. But there's something called, and this happens in probate all the time. And if an agent ever sees this, they probably wouldn't know what to do. But it's one thing that whenever I get a title report, I look to see if there's a mortgage on it. And I make sure to ask my client, hey, there's an active mortgage on your house. Is that correct? If they say no, well, that's a big issue. That means the reconveyance of the deed of trust was not recorded. And that used to be a big problem, especially if a loan was paid off in like the 70s, 80s, or 90s, that this loan was paid off. But as far as the title of the property goes, it shows that that is still there. So the reconveyance wasn't recorded, and there's a process to get rid of that. And I have had to deal with that with probate a bunch, and it's complicated. But you can put this, if you can put this mortgage on your property. Just make sure that the signed reconveyance is within your paperwork, so your loved ones can find it should you pass away.
All right. I think I might have to throw a challenge your way to do maybe a video about this on your YouTube channel. What do you think?
Yeah, there's a video I have. I don't even know what it's called at the moment. Something about how title theft was thwarted. As far as protecting your house from title theft, I do have a video on it, but I really need to update it because what I just told you about that phantom mortgage that was purposely put on there was a tactic that I had not seen before, but it was a good tactic.
I mean, honestly, like in our industry right now, you got wire fraud as well too. You have rental fraud. You have so much stuff going on. Guys, really, like if you see something coming your way that looks, suspect, like talk to who you're dealing with, a title person, as well as your realtor. I mean, like, they should, I don't know. Like I see a lot of people in the rental industry as well too right now too. I see people like paying showing, like, oh yeah, you can see the house. You got to put $150 to go see the house, and the people don't even own the house. So just be careful, man. These are sketchy times, and just be very careful who you're dealing with. And if something seems too good to be true, probably is. All right, we got Manuel. What about River Park by Sac State? I really like that area. I like River Park. I think I've actually seen like a lot of ranch style homes, cute little community. I like River Park. I think it's a cute area. I think it's a little overlooked. Hollywood Park as well too is overlooked. What do you think of River Park?
Yeah, River Park's great. It's practically East Sac. It's kind of a sleeper community. Great location.
Yeah. All right, Mark. Great point about keeping stuff. What was it called? Hold on. That's a great point, Mark, about keeping stuff going about the new homes. Yeah, I mean, yeah. All right, we got Jake too. Never go somewhere without the wine. I gotta bring Jake on one of these times on the show too. He'd be good. He'd be good. But me and Jake would go for probably like a day or two. All right, Manuel Rodriguez. Manuel says, great point, Mark, about the agents. Yeah, like here's the thing about the agents. You guys just got to remember that, if you pick an agent to list your home, I mean, it's an honor for them to do that, no matter what the price point is or whatnot. But they should be hustling and getting that. They should be hustling, going out there, doing what they need to do. For the house I have in Folsom, man, I was bringing out the Swiffer, I was like rearranging the furniture. I mean, we ordered you just got to go above and beyond. You just got to realize also, factor in how much your agent is actually making off the deal as well too. And just keep that in mind, guys. All right. We had another one. Do you think they'll keep building new homes from the 400 to 500K price points in the next year, or will they become extinct in 2026? I think honestly, if it was me, I've seen Elliott build their new community that's in the 4 to 5s. I think that price point, Taylor Morrison's going to be building that in Rancho as well too. So I think we're going to see some communities. I think it's a smart play. I think Sacramento has always been that market of first-time home buyers and affordable housing. And I think that, I always talk to people in Sacramento, right? Brendan, they're always like, Sacramento's going to be the next Bay Area. I'm like, no, 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 no. We don't want that. We want to be that spot that's like the value add, the California place where you move to and you can afford. And hopefully we do see the 4 to 5s. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we do. I mean, that'd be fantastic. But yeah, we are kind of your first time home buyer central for, and it's funny. A lot of times when I'm listing a house, I'll have a seller say something to me like, oh, I hope that that Bay Area money comes, like it's going to be a cash buyer, and they think they have unlimited funds. What actually comes from the Bay Area a lot more is a first time home buyer. They can't afford to buy a house out there, so they're coming out here. And will we be the new Bay Area? I don't think so. So yeah, and I do not want that.
All right, so now we got, dude, a condo in NYC sells for 20 mil. Yes, it does. I mean, man, those prices are crazy. Those are Ryan Serhan prices. All right, the Bay Area has been moving here for the last 30 years, guys. Yeah, and they'll continue to. I mean, for me, the funniest thing though is that the Bay Area, I mean, maybe 10 years ago, a lot of people from the Bay, but now I'm getting people from LA, from Portland, from Phoenix, from Texas. I mean, people move here now from all over the place. The Bay is definitely our strongest, but my phone blows up with zip codes that I don't even know what that is. And I just pick up the phone. How about you? I mean, you must get some calls too coming in from random spots, huh?
Yeah, for the most part, it's been yeah, all over California. But yeah, LA is one of those areas. Washington, Oregon, Texas. I actually saw something the other day that said the number one state that moves to California is Texas, and the number one state that moves out of California, or the number one state that moves, from California to it, is Texas. So it's kind of funny. Like, what are people moving to Texas and like, nah, I don't like the weather here. Move back to California.
Oh, dude, people love Texas. I mean, the humidity, tornadoes, yeah, it's definitely
rebuild your house every couple of years. Why not?
Oh yeah, why not? All right, Newsom just signed a bill with less regulations to build new homes. The SECA reform. Yeah, I'm actually going to be interviewing the guy. His name's Derek, really nice guy, and he's actually in charge of the Connector project. And we're going to talk SECA, and that should be released on the channel next Friday. But it's going to talk a little bit about the building and all that stuff too. And Derek's awesome. He's a straight shooter, and I told him, oh man, all this building is going to happen because of reform. He's like, no, it's only a small part of it. So he's going to give us the real deal on exactly how that affects projects in the Sacramento area. It's going to be really, really, really interesting too. All right, let's get into some Q&A that came into the channel. Here, let's go. Okay, first of all, interest rates. Here we are, guys. The dance of the 6.5 and 7s. It's go dipping a little bit, but see that? Today it just went up just a tad bit. What do you think interest rates? Do you think, I mean, we don't have crystal balls, at least I don't. I've been asking one every holiday season, or every Christmas, but I haven't got one. What do you think? Interest rates? I'm not thinking it's going to go too far.
I don't think it's going to go too far, soon. Just watching the bond market, it just keeps fluctuating up and down. There's too much debt in our federal government for I think that to happen anytime soon. When you're looking at, a lot of people focus so much on what the Fed says, and that the Fed lowers their rate, our interest rates are going to drop, and that's not really the case. But you really have to look at what the 10-year Treasury bond is doing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I think we had a little delay there. All right, so guys, if you are thinking of going to get a new home, we love selling new homes. For 6 years, we've been selling new homes in the Sacramento area. Roseville, Rockland, El Dorado Hills, Plumas Lake, Linda, you name it. We basically sold in that community. We'd love to work with you. One of the things our team does that most other teams don't do is the fact that the builder will always pay our entire fee. If the builder pays $1 to your agent, that's what we get. Not like these new rules that make you sign a 2.5 or 3% buyer's commission. It takes money out of your pocket if the builder doesn't cover it. We are one of the only teams in the area where the builder pays our entire fee, so you never have to. Reach out to our team and we'll show you why we should be the team that you are definitely working with. All right, tell us a little bit about your YouTube channel as well too. And then we're going to jump into questions, and these are going to be fun ones. So tell us a little bit about the stuff that people can go to your YouTube channel and take a look at.
Sure. Launched my YouTube channel in December of 2022, and there's been a long form video that has dropped every single Thursday since then. So we have, I don't know, 150 videos at the moment, spanning all sorts of subjects. It mostly has to do with selling a house in Probate in California. A lot of buyers can get a lot of tips from that. We also talk about successor trustee sales and little aspects of probate and the probate process. How to interview a realtor, fight a winning offer. And it's a real skill. And like I said earlier in the show, my number one call on my channel is from other realtors around the state asking me how to solve a problem. Or yeah, that is my number one call. But check it out. There's a lot of content on there. If you just kind of search terms, you'll find what you're looking for, I think. Or you can always reach out to me. My number's on that channel. Or if you forget the name of that channel, if you just Google Sacramento Probate Realtor and hit the videos tab, you'll see my videos.
How about this? I'll even do one better. When we're done with this video, if you could be one of the comments, I'll pin it up there. Put your YouTube channel directly in the comments so they can link directly to the channel. How's that?
Sounds great. Thank you.
All right. Another question coming in. All right, Rob. If you're right and rates stay, same folks asking too much for their homes sitting on subs threes will remain. How much of the seller's market do you think this represents? I'd say right now what you're seeing is that like you're going to see the sellers with under the 3%. I think you're going to just see them pull their houses. I've already seen a lot of people delisting their homes. I'd say maybe, in my opinion, probably maybe like a fifth of the market, a fifth of the listings are people probably sitting on 2.75s, people who are thinking about maybe on my percentage. But I think there's a lot of people, like, you got to understand, guys, like you got a lot of realtor teams out there who will call you at 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening and say, hey, I saw your house. Do you think about selling it? And then you make the joke. If you can get me 1.2 million for my house, I'd sell it. I think I can get that for you. And the realtors do that whole shuffle where let's list it for 1.2. And then in a week or two, then we'll decrease it. But these 2.75ers are like, we're not decreasing it. If we decrease it, we're not doing that. I'd rather unlist it and keep my house. A lot of them are living in their houses currently, and they're just like, I'm good. You know what I mean? Like, think about this. If they sell their homes and they're living in their homes, they're going to go to another house and jump into a 7% interest rate. So for me, I think there's a lot of the 2.75s, but I think August, September, probably just August, we're going to see a lot of those 2.75ers pull their homes from the market. And you're going to see a little bit more, there's going to be more clarity on the people who actually want to sell their homes and the people who are trying to get like those crazy prices for their homes. And I think that clarity should happen probably by August, mid-August, end of August. And that's going to give a lot of buyers a little bit of like the idea of like what's on the market is legitimately there to be bought and to be negotiated with, as opposed to those houses that you're like, man, down the street, that thing sold for like $1 million. Over there, that thing sold for $950. And these guys are listing their house for 1.2. That makes no sense. And your realtor's going like, we submitted an offer for $1 million and they haven't even responded to it just yet. So I think there should be some clarity in August. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you're right. And, one thing that people tend to assume is that every house that is for sale, they'll sell it for some price. But every seller has a goal. And, you're not going to be able to really know that goal unless you ask the seller themselves. They might not even tell you what it is. But they have a reason for selling. And if they don't have to sell, they're not going to lower it past a certain point. They may be looking like, well, I want to move whatever back east. There's this house out there I'm really looking at. Or here's the price. Well, I don't need to sell the house for this in order to do that. If they don't get it, they're going to take it off the market. And to take that risk from going from a 2.75 or 3.5, or even a 4 maybe, to selling under what their goal would be, they're probably just going to stick around there for a few more years.
I mean, I would. I mean, honestly, like if someone, like I think about my situation, right? I love my house, not going anywhere anytime soon. If someone came in and said, I'll give you this much, an inflated price. Yeah. But if someone's not, I mean, like, if I sold it and then I jumped into the market and found something else, I'd be paying more for less. Like it just, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. So that's kind of what I'm seeing. Off topic. Would you take it as a God, I can't even. This is the time of the show, guys, where I always get tired. So I apologize. Off topic. Would you take it as a compliment, or you get annoyed if someone tells you that you look like Robert Downey Jr., Tony Stark? Hey, I like it. That works for me. Honestly, I go between like I like Iron Man and I like Captain America. Both are good characters, so now I'm good. As long as you just say I don't look like the Hulk, I'm okay. I appreciate it. Or wait, no, who are you talking about? No, this could be they're talking to you.
Me? I've never heard that. Never.
No,
I'll take it as a compliment.
you need to put
sure.
those Tony Stark. Yeah, that's cool though. All right, I like it. I like it. Tony Stark. I'm like Tony Stark's grandfather. All right, to the next, and we'll get you guys out of here sooner than later. Hopefully you guys also are enjoying the show too. I want to bring you on. I want to bring on the show like really good people that can add value. So, after you hear them talk, you get a little bit more of an idea of what Sacramento is all about, and that I'm not just kind of like spouting off every single week. Like, I want to bring on people who add value so that when you come onto this, when you listen to this podcast, a show or whatnot, these are people who are actually selling, buying. They're just in this market. They're working with buyers. They're working with sellers. And they have a unique vantage point of the Sacramento market. Because if it's me and I'm thinking about, I want to move into Sacramento, the last thing I want to do is just get one person's opinion week after week. That's why I bring on guests like Amy, like everyone, like I just, this is kind of what I want. So hopefully you guys appreciate this type of content. If you do, smash that like button because it would mean a whole lot to me. Okay, let's do some questions. Is proximity to the outdoor recreation like Folsom Lake or Sierra Foothills? If you live in Sacramento County, always or close to something like that. You are. I mean, don't you think? I mean, like we have some of the best scenery in all of, I love it. What do you think?
Yeah, we have some great recreation here, but yeah, Sierra Foothills. I mean, you have, gosh, I don't even know how many ski resorts now there are. More than a dozen, and then just all around here, you have trails and lakes and rivers and all sorts of stuff. It's a fantastic community. The foothills are fantastic. You have wine country. You have wine country that a lot of people don't even know about. That you go up to Napa and you turn a bottle around, and it's a $60 bottle of wine or $80 bottle of Zinfandel. You turn it around, it was grown in El Dorado County.
Oh yeah. I mean, we have scenery everywhere. We got, we also got the lakes. We got like Folsom Lake. We got Lake Natoma. We got like American River. We got like the Sacramento River as well. All these waterways. We have like, it's just amazing to live here. Biking, hiking, walking trails. And just like, sometimes for me, sometimes when I'm showing homes, I'm like just blown away by the views. El Dorado Hills, like Loomis, like areas like that. It's really, the scenery around here is really spectacular. And like I said, it's not that scenery you got to pay $5 million in the Bay Area to get. It's scenery that, everyone's kind of close to everything. So it's nice. All right. Sacramento exposed. Folsom is too crowded. Go to Roseville or Rockland. Folsom Ranch is getting really like this. The traffic at Folsom is getting brutal. Roseville, I would say Roseville traffic, around the Gallery and Fountains is pretty brutal. Like, where do you think are the traffic spots that you would stay away from in the Sacramento area?
Anytime I have to go down Sunrise near Fair Oaks and Gold River area, don't really like that area for the traffic. But I don't know, traffic in say the suburbs of Sacramento really isn't that bad. Once they finish 50, it'll be better. But they're refusing to finish the construction on Highway 50. But yeah, right over there by the Palladio in Folsom, East Bidwell and 50, it's been getting worse and worse right over there. And of course, you got the new construction right on the other side of the freeway right there.
All right, we got one more question, then we're done for the evening. All right, Sacramento real estate struggles. There's a lot of stigma around Sacramento with our famous, serial point. Every time I drive to the Bay, I'm reminded of why I live here versus the Bay. Between the excessive traffic, lack of parking, increased heat in the summer with no AC homes, and ridiculous homelessness. A person who is bored is boring. What do you think as far as Sacramento? Like, as far as you go, like, what do you think? Like, as far as Sacramento in comparison to the Bay Area, when you go to the Bay Area, what's your idea of like comparing Sacramento to the Bay? I mean, for me, I don't like going to the Bay Area. Traffic, everything's crazy. Like, how do you feel? Like, being someone who's like, loves the Fair Oaks area and everything too. Like, is it like, are you anxiety when you go to the Bay?
I guess opinion on what is fun and what they would like is subjective. I think there's a lot to offer here in Sacramento. In fact, say in a couple of weeks, I'm going to see one of my favorite bands. I like punk rock bands and stuff like that, like smaller shows. They're playing in Sacramento, and about a year ago they played right in the middle of San Francisco. Oh my gosh, I had to park super far away. I had to pay $80 for parking. It took forever to get there, and it just felt like a nightmare. I know that I'm going to park maybe 2-3 blocks away for $20 to see this one show here in Sacramento. And there's these great shows that are coming through. There's another music venue that just opened up earlier this year in Sacramento for kind of these mid-sized shows. And of course, you have where the Kings play there, the Golden One Center, and so many things on the outskirts of Sacramento as well. But really, there's great restaurants. It's just it doesn't have the same marketing as San Francisco, and maybe we should keep it that way.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think Sacramento, like, and Sacramento people probably are like all over this too. It's like, I think Sacramento, for me, you get the California lifestyle. You're now paying that ticket price of the Bay Area, Southern California. Like, I like our area. I like staying in Sacramento too. Got Tahoe close by and everything too. I don't know. I think we're really, really lucky, like where we are. All right. Rob says, dude, Roseville traffic is way worse than Folsom. Lived in both areas. Yeah, here's the thing. Okay, I'll tell you this. You're totally spot on. In fact, I got a traffic accident, 6580, boom. It was, still to this day, I'm not a big fan of that area too. The thing that I will tell you though, is that in Folsom in general, like one side of the 50, I think that's fine. The thing that really does worry me is like, you got like 30,000, like they're, eventually going to have like 30 to 40,000 homes over there. And they just have that one East Bidwell artery crossing into Folsom. Now, I think for me, at least, I see that as something that in the future, they got to deal with that. When you have that many houses, think about this. You got like 30,000 new houses and there's like no shopping over there, right? And they got to get across the freeway because Costco's there in the Palladio. And so all of a sudden it's almost like the planning commission didn't think about this. They're like, we're going to put 30,000 houses across the freeway. We're going to have just one street and we're going to delay all the shopping and everything over there too. I mean, like so for me, you're right. Roseville's traffic, like I mentioned earlier in the program, we both did, it's anxiety level, but I look at it now. I mean, go to Folsom at like 5:00 and you're going to see that line of cars from all the new homes coming across the freeway, probably going to Costco or something. So it's going to be a problem. And like I said, for me, it's more about the planning. I think, when you're putting that many houses in, you got to lay the infrastructure before you build the houses. I mean, that's just kind of logical, right? You're like, okay, there's going to be this many homes. So why don't we build some roads to actually let people go over there instead of just have one road? I mean, I don't understand how they didn't think this through as far as infrastructure wise. And it's just, East Bidwell is going to go, it's going to be brutal and it's going to get worse. Now, overall, yeah, Roseville. Don't like the 65 to 80. Don't like Nordstrom traffic. Don't like all that stuff either. But I'd be annoyed if I lived in Folsom right now. If I lived in like Briggs Ranch and all of a sudden I'm getting off the freeway and I'm waiting like, like 15 minutes to actually get on East Bidwell, like I would be annoyed. So that's the traffic I'm referring to. All right. What do you think? Have you experienced that Folsom traffic?
Oh yeah, that corridor you're talking about right there, the 50 in Bidwell. I've been watching that happen for a while, just waiting for that to just be an absolute nightmare. Like, what are they going to do? Put another overpass on to get over to the side of the freeway just to go to the Palladio? But my office is also in Roseville, so I see that Pleasant Grove and 65 traffic all the time as well. So I get it. Right now Roseville's traffic is something, but Folsom, it's just right in that one sector, and
that's it.
It's on the verge of being a nightmare.
Oh yeah, Rob says you want California to think and plan, huh? Agreed. Folsom, the land of Botox. All right, so we got this. Bay Area only has better food. That's it. And here's the thing about the better food, though. I'll tell you this. I think Sacramento's food scene is getting a lot better. Here's the thing for me that always annoyed me about the Bay Area food scene. It was like the parking. It was a big thing to go somewhere to eat. You had to deal with parking. You had to deal with all that stuff, getting into traffic and on the freeway, and that completely ruined my like love for going out to like North Beach in San Francisco. I'm like, great, get some Italian food, and all of a sudden it was like just I don't know, it just didn't work. So for me, at least the way I look at it is that in Sacramento, if I want to get in my car and go to a restaurant to eat, parking, I mean, traffic now and again, I mean, whatever, but it's an easy thing to do. So I like that. What do you think as far as the food scene here?
I think we have some great food here. I don't really know many of the restaurants out in the area, but I have my go-to spots. There's plenty of places for me to try that I've never been to. Downtown Sacramento has a ton of spots that I've never been to that people rave about, but there's some great options here.
Bay Area is great if you're rich. Most of us are not. Yeah, and the money flies out of your wallet in the Bay. Parking, tolls. Yeah, I'm not a big fan, my friends. I'd rather like go to Costco, get myself some food, get it to my backyard, and call it a day. All right, Folsom needs public transportation instead of 1 million Teslas. Agreed. I agree. Our public transportation is lacking. So I'm with you guys too. All right. Rob is not California's local planners. California is not responsible for local politics. God, you guys are funny. Okay, food is plenty good in Sacramento. Doesn't have the top spots, but nothing to complain about. Yeah, I'm with you. I think that's right on the money. I think that you can find great like restaurants to eat and everything too. If you want the bougie spots like in the Bay Area where you have to get on a waiting list for like 7 months, maybe the kitchen, but like I never liked those experiences too. And I remember going to San Francisco, going to some of the restaurants to eat, and they would serve little small helpings, and I'd be like, this is not fun, I'm barbecuing in my backyard. I got myself a nice brisket and I'm good to go. But yeah, the food scene here is good. I think it's good. What do you think?
Man, there's so many restaurants that I like here. And I'm right by Folsom. I mentioned Center Street Steakhouse. People really like Hawks out in Folsom. There's so many different ones, though. Um, and those are kind of some of your higher end ones, but there's everything from your small mom and pop restaurants to the high end.
I couldn't imagine there'd be one restaurant in the Bay Area that I would say, you know what? Let's go to the Bay Area because I miss my favorite. I just couldn't see that as being something that I would ever do. Like I like the pizza in North Beach, but guess what? I wouldn't drive to North Beach to get it. I'd find some other spot here, and there's really good pizza around here as well too. So I don't know. That's just me. Okay, last question of the night. I've been sitting on a pre-approval for $550 for 3 months now. Won't be buying anything. Won't be buying anytime soon. And has absolutely nothing to do with interest rates. Nearly every home in my price range was bought 3 years ago, 300 to 400K, and being put up currently for 520 to 620, or 525 to 600 with no upgrades. If either of those houses came down 425 to 450, I'd buy tomorrow. But at this level, I'm just not going to do it. Rates could drop 5% tomorrow, and I'm still not touching a 1,500 3-bedroom, 2-bath in Citrus Heights for 500. I'd be willing to bet most of the buyers in my price range in the area feel the exact same way. I talked to a bunch of buyers like that. They look at the payment, and the payment doesn't match up the house. It's just they're like, I'm gonna pay $5,000 a month. I'm getting myself like something that's not updated, needs a little work. Nah, I'm not gonna do it. I'll tell you what, a lot of people like that though. They pivot to the new homes because of the rate buy downs and, they can negotiate a little bit. So I don't know. I agree. I mean, at this point in time, buying a house sometimes with the amount of money maybe you make or the amount of money you're going to spend, it's tough. I mean, $5,000 for just a starter home every single month. That's tough to swallow. You know what I mean? All right. Another one. Pizza in Sacramento sucks. I don't know. I like some of the pizza here. I like what was it? There's one in Roseville that I like. And there's one, where there's a good pizza place that I've heard of in Davis. I heard there's a good pizza place in Davis as well too. Like Cosmos or something like that too. I think you could find it. I just think you have to kind of look around, and there's new spots opening up all the time in the Sacramento area. So I think you find it. Asian food in Sac is not that great. Go to Szechuan Garden in Fair Oaks. You'll like it.
Oh yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah.
All right, you need to make at least. Oh, go for it. Give me some restaurants.
Oh, I was going to say pizza wise. The one thing that I'll say, it depends on your if you like New York style or deep dish or whatever. There's actually this one Detroit style pizza place where you have to wait for it's on Facebook. You actually pull up to someone's house, and once a month they they cook a bunch of people these pizzas. It's like this kind of this, I don't know, a cult sort of thing. But my favorite pizza place is not in Sacramento. It is in the Bay Area. So if you're ever in Berkeley, Berkeley and Oakland, there's one I think in Pleasanton, but Zachary's. It's pretty well known for the deep dish.
All right, Rob says, man, you're depressing the heck out of me. All right, on that note, we're done. Guys, if you guys have enjoyed the broadcast, like we said, every Wednesday at 7 p.m., I'm here giving you guys the straight, skinny, or the tea, or whatever people call it these days on Sacramento real estate. If you enjoyed the show tonight, smash that like button, comment, share the video with friends, and thank you very much for coming on the show tonight, Brandon.
At the time, man, I'll tell you, I could talk about probate for hours and hours and hours. So check out my channel.
All right, guys, we're gone. And like I said, he'll put his channel in the comments below. Until next week, guys. And also this Friday, I'll be dropping a video about Roseville. I'll be doing it with my bud, Sam Golovy, and it'll be fun. And until that, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys next week. Okay, guys, hopefully you enjoyed the show. If you did, please smash that like button. As we all know, guys, look, the California housing market is a little bit slow right now, and Sacramento is still a little slow. And the summer hasn't been fantastic for the real estate market. Buyers might get the edge towards the end of this year. So I want to know what you think. Do you think it's worth it to buy right now? Do you think you should be waiting? I want to know what you guys think. So put your comments, please, below. I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions about this current market that we're in. Now, guys, we are a real estate team. So if you're thinking about making the move to the Sacramento area, hit that Zoom link below. We can get on a Zoom call with you, answer any questions you have about the market, plan an amazing tour, pros and cons, all that stuff you should know about if you are thinking about even making the first trip out here to Sacramento. Now, guys, also, if you are someone in Sacramento and you're thinking about selling your home, guys, not all realtors, not all listing agents are created equal. Some people just put the post in the ground. We do not. We market like crazy. YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, you name it. We basically push your house to get more eyeballs than any other team in the area, and we love to work with you. Last but not least, there's a playlist right over there of other videos I've done about the Sacramento real estate market. Knowledge power, those videos are key. Click on them, you'll thank me later. All right, guys, until the next show, this is Mark. Have a good one.